Welcome to this Last Mile Profits video, the last word on the last mile. Will the German out-of-home delivery market development mirror that of Poland? Stay tuned to find out more.
Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by in-house developed software.
So Gary, today we are going to talk about the market that in many ways is, I don't know, the home country, the fatherland, perhaps is a better word, of lockers. And that is?
Germany, of course.
So not many people know that actually the very first lockers were designed, am I right, by an Austrian locker manufacturer and Deutsche Post. Is that pretty accurate?
If you're talking about Kiba, then yeah, I think it is.
So basically, those are the players that invented the concept. And what is quite interesting is that, on one hand, this is the country that has had lockers for longest, but actually, in terms of numbers and coverage, relative to the size of the country and population, it's actually way behind.
There's a really pragmatic reason for that, unfortunately, Marek, is that at the time that Deutsche Post, DHL, and I think you're right, it's Kiba, effectively invented the smart parcel locker. They then shrouded it in a world of patents. So there is a whole portfolio of fairly broad patents that are owned by DHL that have protected the fatherland, as you describe it, from invaders. So those patents have been much observed by everybody else in the parcel locker market. And the good news is, as you'll probably notice from the increased level of activity in the German market, the majority of those patents have expired. I think we discovered at least a dozen, maybe as many as 20, that any one of which to the unwary could land you either with your lockers being removed or a trip to the German commercial courts. Two of them were extremely broad indeed. One of those expired third quarter of last year. The other one expires third quarter of this year. The rest of them, there are workarounds and things you can do. But there were two really big patents that prevented anybody else from entering the German market. Now those have fallen away. You're seeing all this new activity.
Two interesting points there, because I'm aware of the patents, and one of them in particular was so generic, it was more the process of how the machine works rather than the detail, which made it very, very difficult to avoid.
Yeah, basically that patent said if a locker sends a message, then you're in breach of the patent. So it prevented any kind of smart locker activity. And obviously you could apply to DHL for permission to enter the market, but the response was fairly predictable. That's why you've got this huge network that is privately run, privately owned by the DHL group, and very little activity from anybody else up to this point.
Absolutely, because what they used to do, for those who don't know, they would wait. It was quite clever. They'd wait for someone to get big enough to be worth attacking. Then you get a very nice note from the legal department of Deutsche Post. We're really delighted you're using our technology. When would you like to start paying? And then the end result was Gary, exactly what you say. I suspect, I haven't seen any of these final agreements, but I suspect it was on the basis, we're going to be fairly generous in terms of the license you pay, but no way on earth are you coming to Germany. And I think that has led to the fact that you've got this huge market, fairly innovative when it comes to this technology because they thought it up, that is a one-man show. A question, I think, Gary, that's interesting now is, okay, so what's going to happen? Because I have a theory, and the theory is the following. This market is just too big to bite off in one go. And anyone who tells me, right, Marek, we're going to be the big alternative to Deutsche Post as one organization, it ain't going to happen.
I think you're probably right. I think, will it start to look like Poland in terms of one huge dominant player and then everybody else falling into line and having a locker solution of some kind? I think you're probably right. We know that the appetite for lockers for the German public is definitely there. They're very accomplished and experienced users of lockers. They perform a big part of the out of home experience for Deutsche Post and DHL deliveries into Germany. The other carriers must be looking across, going, we want to do the same. the combined market share of the other, if you take the next 4 or 5 big carriers combined, they look about the same size as DHL. So is there something they could do jointly together? Population of Germany, 88
I think, Gary,
million.
sorry to interrupt. That's the big thing, Gary. I think that's the really big thing, because the reason, or one of the main reasons InPost has been able to dominate is the others didn't get together. And the question, I think, in Germany is, will the other players take a step back, forget about pride and other issues, and say, the only way we can challenge Deutsche Post is by standing together? Because, frankly, DP, I think they've got about 10, 12,000 machines in place at the moment. Let's say that I think they will prioritize, and let's say they get to 15. Nobody individually, whether it's DPD, whether it's Hermes, whether it's GLS, no one individually is going to be able to do that in a hurry. Whereas if they all get together, then there's a chance.
Last year, I heard an interesting stat from one of the carriers that they'd been approached by 10 different potential locker providers. And they divided that 10 into 2 groups, 5 that were credible and 5 that were less than credible. And the offers ranged everything from, would you like to buy our lockers and build your own network, now the patents have gone away, right through to, we are going to establish a huge agnostic network, would you like to be part of it? And kind of every shade of grey in between. So there are lots and lots of people looking at how to crack it. I'm sure you're aware of My Flexbox, who have they've got the first bunch of lockers on the ground. They got GLS Live as their first carrier. They've gone to the market and raised 75 million euros to fund, as they describe it, locker expansion in the German-speaking world. So their homeland is Austria. So I assume they mean Switzerland and Germany alongside it. So there is some serious money being made available to expansion there. But I don't think it's an easy market to crack. There's location hunting is a big challenge in every market. And then you've got the layers of German bureaucracy and regulation and legislation to weave your way through as well to get these agreements done. So I don't think it's a simple market at all.
Well, we know My Flexbox pretty well, because actually Last Mile Experts did the due diligence on that company. What I would say is that's exactly the route. Somebody like that's independent will have to bring together several competing operators, because otherwise it isn't going to happen in a hurry. I think this is such a cool topic. We're going to have to come back to it probably when we see how things develop, because there are ambitious plans at MFB, but at the moment there's still nothing that I've seen that suggests that there is something that is on the cards imminently that will be a direct challenge to Deutsche Post. I think because it's such a big market.
I've got a nice parcel nerd fact for you about how the German market does cooperate. Do you know that the 4 or 5 big carriers share a common returns label format and a common set of returns tracking numbers? So including DHL, Hermes, DPD, and everybody. If you get a return label, you can stick it on your parcel and the customer can choose where to drop it off. So they can go to a Hermes parcel shop, they could go to a post office, they could go to a DHL locker and drop that return off. And the decision is made by the consumer at that point, not by the retailer at the shipping point. So I've not come across another market that has a similar process, and I found it quite fascinating. And what an excellent customer experience. I think there is opportunity and likelihood that, collaboration that maybe, I don't really want to name UK carriers that are probably the least likely to collaborate, but there are other markets where they really don't get along and wouldn't play ball like that. Whereas in Germany, they have made this kind of customer-centric, common sense approach around returns. So maybe that does mean that there is a way forward to do something jointly.
I think, interestingly, though, they tried to do it with lockers and that didn't work. Let's then revisit this, because it is a cool topic and it's an important one. For now, it's still, I think, very unclear what, how and when will happen. But let's revisit at the right time.
Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.